Which games are must bets for week 14 of the 2023 NFL season? What's going on, BLV bettors and gridiron gamblers? It's Mitch here of the Bottom Line View, here with my week 14 best bets versus the spread. My goal is to help you win some money betting versus the spread this 2023 NFL season. And last week, we did just that with a 5-1 record on the week in our best bets and a phenomenal, historic 8-0 Patreon record. So if you're not already signed up to Patreon, it's a chance for me to give you a cheap plug. The link is in the description in the comment section below. It starts at only $3 a month. You could take a look at my advice and my bets each and every week versus the NFL. Let's try to continue the hot streak. If you're up for it, Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly NFL best bets versus the spread just like this here on the Bottom Line View. 5-1 last week. Let's keep it rolling. Let's kick it off with a rare Thursday night football best bet. And I actually said, I think a few weeks ago, that I would never bet my Patriots again here on this show. But I just can't understand why the Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-point favorites versus any NFL team. There's really not a lot of breakdown for this game other than the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers have won every single one of their games by one score. They have not finished an opponent by more than a touchdown all year. You're getting 6 points with one of the best defenses in football, the New England Patriots. In fact, over the past 3 to 4 weeks, the New England Patriots have allowed the least amount of points in the NFL. They just played Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and he only managed to put up 6. Now, the Patriots defense takes on Mitchell Trubisky. So I get it. Ramondre Stevenson, Demario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, the best playmakers of the Patriots are gone. They're starting likely Bailey Zappi at quarterback, and that is dangerous, and that is not exactly fun. But this game has a total of 30, which means there's not going to be a lot of points scored. It's going to be cold, and it's going to be a game where both offenses try to protect the ball, manage the game, field position battle, and it's going to come down to probably a couple of plays. So if you're getting 6 points versus the spread in a game that has a total of 30, I understand it's ugly and it's gross, but you have to bet the Patriots. Like, it's the only sense it makes. And if you really think about it, would it be unreasonable? And I don't even want this to happen. I want the Patriots to get the first overall pick. I'm a Patriots fan. I want Caleb Williams, all right? Would it be like crazy to say the Patriots could win this game if Trubisky throws the ball to the other team with guys like Kyle Duggar and JC Jackson out there who can make plays on the football? It could happen, right? The Patriots defense could steal this game. They could run the ball well enough to steal this game. So as long as New England doesn't turn it over, and the chance that Trubisky definitely will, this could be an upset altogether. So I just think this is too many points in a game that's going to feature not a lot of points at all between two strong defensively coached teams between Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin. And dating back the last few years, these two teams have played, been very low scoring, including one with Tom Brady. So these games have just been very low scoring. And man, even in Pittsburgh, you just have to take the points with the Patriots. There's just no other way to play this game. And it has to be a best bet in a week that's full of ugly bets across the board. My second best bet of week number 14, I'm taking CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans -4 at the New York Jets. This spread really doesn't make sense if it were not for the weather that is projected for this game. So there is expected to be some heavy winds and some rain potentially in New Jersey. that could impact CJ Stroud. But here's the thing about CJ Stroud. He has some of the strongest mechanics in football. He has one of the purest, strongest arms in football. He played at Ohio State. I don't really think that CJ Stroud will be impacted by this weather as much as people think. I understand he's a rookie, and I understand that he's played in Houston in the NFL and mostly in a dome. But in college, he played at Ohio State, right? He played in environments that were cold and featured weather and wind. I think he's used to it. I think he understands how to play in those elements. And this is a team in Houston that I think their defense is really getting better. And that is the handicap for this game. I think Stroud will be better in the weather than people expect. He can create out of structure, which really allows the Jets to not push the buttons of their defense is so dominant. Stroud can create out of thin air. That's going to throw the Jets off and create just enough plays to win a game and cover against a team that has no offense in the Jets. They can't block. They can't run the ball. They can't throw the ball. Their coach makes a lot of game management mistakes. And this is a familiar situation here with the Texans coaching staff. Bobby Slowick from San Francisco knows Robert Saleh's defense like the back of his hand. DeMeco Ryans runs a similar scheme, except it's more advanced. If any team has an advantage over Robert Saleh, it should be the Texans, if not for the 49ers, but the Texans would be second on the list. So I look at it as, a lot of people are saying, oh, the Jets defense is so good, they're so good, they're so good. I look at it as CJ Stroud is so good. I look at it as the Texans are really better than people think. I think this is a legit AFC playoff team. I think that this defense of the Texans is really rushing the passer well. I think they're going to give Zach Wilson fits. And if either quarterback is unable to predict the environment that he's playing in and play well in this environment, I actually think it's Zach Wilson. He's wildly inaccurate, has poor mechanics, and will turn the ball over if given the opportunity. I think Stroud makes less mistakes. I think the Texans make more big plays. And I think the Texans defense shines in this matchup. So give me Houston to win by a touchdown, something ugly like 20-14, 20-13. But I think that Stroud comes through -4. I think that's not enough points for a terrible Jets team that I rank as the third worst in football right now. My third best bet of week number 14. Give me the Denver Broncos as underdogs, traveling to Los Angeles, playing the Chargers, a team that knows how to lose. Yes, sir. The Denver Broncos have learned how to win over the last few weeks. And although they did drop one to the Houston Texans, as I just discussed, I think the Texans are legit. And I think the Chargers continue to be one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. I watched them play last week, live here on the channel, providing play-by-play. And everything I thought about the team came true. I have a really good feel for the Chargers. Their offense is only Keenan Allen. Justin Herbert is really talented and really good, but their receiving core is bona fide cheeks, okay? They have no one outside of Keenan Allen. Quentin Johnston can't catch the ball. Jalen Guyton can't run routes. Austin Eckler is slow and washed. The tight end is Gerald Everett, not a difference maker. The offensive line is average. Kellen Moore can't really do anything to get the ground game going. This Denver defense has been highly opportunistic, and I understand that, the turnovers are definitely a little lucky at times, but this is a well-schooled defense from Vance Joseph, one that is fast up front, that can rush the quarterback, especially from the interior featuring Zach Allen right now. I love how Alex Singleton is playing. I love how guys like Benito are playing, Cooper are playing. These guys are getting after it. And then in the back end, they have Justin Simmons. They have Pat Surtain. They have a pretty good secondary. I think this is a really good coverage unit that can stifle the strength of the Chargers, which is still Justin Herbert. So if that's their strength, what's their weaknesses? They can't run the ball, so I wouldn't worry about the biggest weakness of the Broncos. They're not going to be able to run the ball that well. And then on the other side, this is a bad Charger defense. I understand they shut out the Patriots, but it's the Patriots offense. There's a reason that game against the Steelers is +6 and a 30-point total. They don't score a lot of points, and they're not well respected offensively, right? I talked about how New England, their defense should be able to stifle the Steelers, and honestly, it was a fluke they didn't score last week, right? There was a turnover in the Charger territory. They were running the ball extremely successfully. And to me, like, Denver can replicate everything New England did, except they're going to add a layer of playmaking from the quarterback position. They have better receivers. Like, Cortland Sutton's going to make plays against this secondary down the field. Russell Wilson will be able to scramble and make plays under pressure, a few each game that he does make. He's not going to be under duress constantly. Outside of Khalil Mack, this is not a very good pass rush. And they can run the ball and really control the clock against the Chargers. This is not a good run defense. I mean, the Patriots ran it all over them pretty consistently. It's just they couldn't, in the weather, kick field goals, and they don't have enough from the quarterback position. I really feel like Denver is going to have a similar game plan where they're going to be able to stifle Herbert, but they're just going to get more out of their offense here. I think they're going to get around 20 points, and that'll be good enough to win this game. I see this as a low-scoring affair, but I also feel like that's what the Broncos want to play in. And they're willing to take their field goals when they get the opportunity. They're really good and really opportunistic in certain fourth down situations, in certain third down and red zone opportunities. And they're really well coached. You're talking about Sean Payton as an underdog to Brandon Staley here. I just think the Denver Broncos know who they are. They know their identity. They know what they want to do. They know the goals they want to accomplish on Sundays. The Chargers are the opposite. They're completely reliant on one player at quarterback, and they don't have enough around him on offense to really make this thing happen. And the defense is completely inflated based on a performance against the worst offense in the NFL. So I like the 3 points versus the Denver Broncos. It looks obvious, but it's just the fact that the Chargers are overrated by the books because they have a guy named Justin Herbert. I'm fading that fact. Give me the Broncos +3. My fourth best bet of week number 14 is the Baltimore Ravens, favored by 7 over the Los Angeles Rams. Some people will really like the points with the Los Angeles Rams, but personally, I think this is a trap. I think that the Ravens have the potential to blow out the Rams in this spot. The Rams are coming off a physical football game versus the Cleveland Browns that looked a little bit better in the result than it truly was. They played Joe Flacco off the couch and still had problems with the Browns offense. An offense that has been horrible for most of the year. The Rams defense definitely against the Ravens could be ran over literally. I think the Browns did a good job running the football. I think the Ravens can replicate that. And in this game, it's going to feature weather. It's going to feature wind, rain. I think that's really going to hurt the Rams offense. They're used to LA weather, LA stadium, perfect environment. Stafford is not the greatest when he's in weather, when he's in wind, when he's in rain. The sloppiness of the football could come into play here against an elite defense already. Baltimore is arguably the best defense in football. And I understand the Rams did a good job against the Browns last week, but that again was an imperfect environment. The Ravens are coming off a bye where they've had extra time to prepare for this game. The scheme of McVay. This is an extremely smart defensive coordinator in Mike Macdonald, who is one of the best in confusing quarterbacks and getting pressure. And I feel like they're going to be able to make an offensive line in the Rams that's looked a little bit better as of late, but is definitely a weakness, looks susceptible. I think the Ravens are going to get a ton of pressure on different stunts and blitz packages. I think Matabuke is a key factor here. His interior pressure against a pocket passer like Matthew Stafford could be big. I could see things like tip passes on screens and things of that nature where the Ravens can take advantage with guys like Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy getting into passing lanes, popping the ball up in the air. We've seen Kyle Hamilton come off the edge on blitzes. Marlon Humphrey is back and healthy. He could help shadow Cooper Kupp. Roquan Smith's been the best linebacker in football this year, which is going to help them defend Kyren Williams in the run game and as well as the horizontal screen game. So I just think this is trouble for the Rams. Whether on the road versus an NFC team, and the Ravens are dominant versus NFC teams. We saw them blow out the Seattle Seahawks, blow out the Detroit Lions. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even a matter of the point spread. Those point spreads looked a little high as well that week. But part of it is that Lamar Jackson is a unique specimen at quarterback, a unique preparation type of player that you have to deal with once every 4 years, and NFC teams don't know how to deal with him. You talk about the Rams' run defense that is very susceptible. We saw it against the Browns. You throw in the factor of Lamar Jackson. You throw in that this is the first year with the new offense. You throw in the fact that he's going to be able to, with the new offensive coordinator, operate from, okay, this has worked this year. This has not worked. Let's throw this out. Let's continue to run this stuff. Mark Andrews has been out, but they haven't really had a chance to say, okay, more to Zay Flowers, more to Isaiah Likely. Let's get more plays for OBJ. That bye week has allowed them to prepare for the rest of the season, which they want to go on a Super Bowl run. I think this is going to look like a different Ravens offense where they lean on the running game, they power their way to a victory, and they get those playmakers involved a little bit more post Mark Andrews, understanding they can't just rely on that big-time tight end. And then defensively, they're extremely well schemed. Extra week will only help. And this is a Rams team that I feel like has been pretty good, trending in the right direction, but they have not been beating anybody super impressive. They're a team that I think will make the playoffs as a wild card, but when they play the top dogs, they will show it. And I think just like the Cowboys did earlier in the year, the Ravens will blow out the Rams. So I think the Ravens will win 10-14, maybe even more in this game. I'd be a little surprised if it was close. The only way I think this would be close is if the Ravens turn the football over. That is the only way, because I think the Ravens defense is legit, and I think the Ravens offense has a lot of advantageous matchups in this game. So I've got the Ravens -7 for week 14 as my fourth best bet. My fifth and final best bet for week 14 is the Chicago Bears +3.5 versus the Detroit Lions. The game is in Chicago, which means Jared Goff outdoors in the cold, the wind, and the rain. Sign me up. Now, I don't think the rain is 100%, but the wind will have an impact on this game. And if either team is better equipped to run the football and have success offensively, it's Chicago. Because Chicago has a good running game, but what they offer is Justin Fields, one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL. And we saw him the last time out against Minnesota, a defense that is quite good. I don't think people understand how good Minnesota's defense was or is, and that was at home. And Brian Flores is a really good coordinator. The opposite could be said about the Lions. They have one of the worst defenses in football. They are the worst team against rushing quarterbacks. They don't blitz as much as a team like the Vikings, not nearly at the same rate, which is going to allow Fields to have time, which is where he's comfortable. He's not good against the blitz, right? They had a lot of their answers be, quick check downs, bubble screens, things of that nature. It's going to be a total different plan against the Lions. We saw the Bears offense look really good against the Lions in the first matchup, and I think that their defense will play a lot better in the second matchup, knowing that, and they got 3 picks, I think, in the first game, right? They turned the football over. That's because Detroit couldn't really run the ball against Chicago in the first game, which forced Jared Goff to be that pure passer on third down, drop back passing game to be the answer for Detroit. And Chicago's secondary is playing really good football. Jalen Johnson is playing out of his mind. Jaquan Brisker, right? These guys are playing really well. Linebackers of Chicago's playing really well. They have one of the best run defenses in football, if not the best right now. I feel like Chicago's defense is mispriced. I feel like in a game with wind and potential really stormy weather, that this is really advantageous for Chicago. You throw in the history of Jared Goff playing in bad weather. All these things add up to me that maybe the Lions win, but it would be by like a field goal. I think it's going to be a super close game. The first game was super close. It took a Detroit crazy comeback in a dome, by the way, where it's easier to come back and throw the football. That is not going to be the case in this game. So I just feel like Chicago's playing well, defense especially. This is a good matchup for Justin Fields, good matchup for their offense that otherwise is pretty limited. And it's a familiar matchup. It's bad weather. It's one of those games that this could be a really big upset that screws with the NFC playoff race. So I see it happening. I think Chicago probably wins this game, but I'm going to take them +3.5 for sure. I think it's a field goal game regardless. Give me the 3 in the hook for Chicago at home versus their NFC North rival, the Detroit Lions. Those are my 5 best bets for Week 14 of the 2023 NFL season. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe. Good luck on your picks. Good luck on your bets. And we'll see you on the next video. Peace, guys. Thanks for watching.